10 seconds.
14.4 is underway. Scott Panchik and Josh Bridges, the battle in Seattle. Keep an eye on the top of your screen. The athlete in blue will be the leader. We'll keep track of all the reps and the movements. We start with 60 calories on the Concept 2 rower. After that, 50 toes to bar. Then 40 wall ball shots at a 10-foot target. Then 30 cleans at 135 pounds, and we finish up with 20 ring muscle-ups. If they get through that in 14 minutes, they start all over again. We start on the rower, though, rowing for calories, Cherie, not distance.
You immediately saw the energy these two gentlemen had and how they wanted to get that flywheel going quickly. We aren't surprised to see Scott in the lead at the very beginning of this. He does have a strength in the rowing over Josh. But I think it's going to go back and forth as they kind of go through the movements. So he may not hang on to this lead for very long.
Scott Panchik, the early leader. He's about 4 calories ahead of Josh Bridges right now. And for those of you who like little bits of history to chew on, it's a different day. It was a different workout. But in the 2007 throwback event at the CrossFit Games the past year, Josh Bridges started on a rower. Josh Bridges won the event. Scott Panchik still hanging on to about a 6-calorie lead now as he is in his final 20 calories. You're looking at Josh Bridges, the man who so far has beaten Panchik in 2 of the 3 open workouts. But last week, it was Panchik getting the better of Bridges, and Bridges' performance, in fact, dropped him all the way down to 157th in the overall standings in the world. He's still well on track, though, to making it into the Southern California regional competition, where he is the favorite to win the whole thing.
This right here is about managing what's going to happen for the rest of the work, where we see this. You're going to be so excited, you're going to blow up in the first 2 minutes. We'll see how well they can hang on.
Well, Scott Panchik just about done, 59 calories down, and now 60. He's off the rower. Josh Bridges still a ways to go. Panchik will be the first man to the toes to bar. Panchik on the right, Bridges still on the rower on the left. Now for the mere mortals, you get to 50 toes to bar, and that's something we're going to have to break up. Pacing, though, might not be an issue for these athletes.
Well, in a toe to bar, it's pretty grippy, so they have to know themselves pretty well to know how many they should be able to hang on for. And Scott needed that 10-rep lead over Josh because we know Josh is strong at the toe to bar.
And here comes Josh Bridges. He's off the rower onto the pull-up bar. Josh Bridges has more total pull-ups at one point than Scott Panchik. Bridges with 81. Scott Panchik with 62.
Josh's background is to have a pretty strong pulling, so this isn't going to be trouble for him. But you're going to see as we go back and forth into whether it's leg intensive or arm intensive, these two are going to trade off their leads a little bit.
Bridges is off, breaking them up, and Scott Panchik continuing to widen his lead. Now through 89 total reps, Josh Bridges through 62, but Bridges quickly back onto the pull-up bar to get to work on those 50 toes to bar. After this, they move on to 40 wall ball shots. Bridges, though, has a lot of ground to make up here as Scott Panchik opened up a lead on the rower, and he's kept it ever since. And now Panchik is down to about 3 or 4 reps at a time, maybe opening the door a little bit for Josh Bridges.
There's got to be something wrong with the scoring here. We've definitely seen Josh do more than 2 reps, so we're not exactly sure how much of a lead Scott has hung on to there.
We will fix the scoring system and get that back up as soon as possible, but for now, both athletes on those 50 toes to bar. Panchik on the back end now of his toes to bar, and he will move on to those 40 wall ball shots. Josh Bridges breaking as well, but it seems like he's spending less time on the ground than Panchik when they pop off the pull-up bar.
You've got to believe that this is planned on how much they're going to rest here.
And now Panchik is on to the wall balls. 40 wall balls for Scott Panchik at a 10-foot target, and Josh Bridges still on the pull-up bar. Now Bridges is done, so Bridges has managed to cut into Panchik's lead just a bit. Now let's keep in mind that these two guys right now are going head-to-head, but there is a bigger picture they need to keep in mind when it comes to the open.
Most definitely. They're going against the world right now. They want to stay ahead of each other for show, but they're going against the world.
Bridges on the left, Panchik on the right, and this is a movement where you got to give the edge to Panchik just because he's a taller athlete.
But shockingly, it's Josh that hasn't broken it up yet. And that's probably due to that big engine he's got.
After these 40 wall balls, Bridges now threw unofficially 22 of them. It's on to that, the 135-pound clean. Both athletes catching their breath before they move on to that, and before they continue their 40 wall ball shots.
Most people looking at home are thinking, oh, 40 wall balls, no big deal. But you have to start at this point thinking of the cumulative effect that a chipper has on the body, and they're starting to feel that right here. You can see it.
Usually 40 wall ball shots for these athletes is no big deal. Now Panchik getting no rep right there. Bridges on the left, Panchik on the right. And right now, it seems like they're neck and neck. 5 to go for Josh Bridges, 4 to go for Bridges. Panchik is done. Panchik moving on the barbell, but Bridges is hot on his heels, and Josh Bridges is now on the barbell as well. Panchik is through 1 rep, and Bridges taking his time getting there, trying to catch his breath, and now he will get to work on his 30 cleans.
One thing to note, if you're at home wondering why there's some plates on the side of these barbells, they're slightly shorter. They're competition barbells, so don't go home and put that weight on your bar.
35 pounds those bars weigh. They're the same ones that they used at the games back in 2013. They're using them here tonight. Bridges trying to chase down Panchik. Panchik on the left of your screen, Bridges on the right. We're approaching the halfway point of this workout, so it is very likely that these athletes may find themselves once again on the rower if they get through these cleans and then the 20 ring muscle ups after that.
They are definitely getting back on the rower at the pace they're at now. I have no doubt about that. But what really sticks out to me is the pain that these guys are going through with 30 cleans at 135. That is not a heavy weight for them. Generally, they would be able to get this done in about 60 seconds. That is certainly not happening.
You know that these athletes are tired when they're breaking up 135 pounds into singles. And you talked about it a little bit earlier, the cumulative effect that these movements have on one another. You talked about grip. After this, now it's on to the rings. And usually 20 muscle-ups unbroken for both of these athletes would not be a big deal. But after all this work, that's going to be a challenge.
I believe the muscle-ups will be the slowest portion. They're probably going to break them up into maybe 3, maybe 5. We'll see.
Keep an eye on the judges. When they put their hands in the air, that'll mean that their respective athlete has just 5 reps to go.
They're currently at the same pace. If they keep the same pace, Scott's going to keep his lead.
5 left now for Josh Bridges as he has taken the lead from Scott Panchik, but just barely, as Panchik now has 5 reps to go as well. 8 minutes gone by, less than 6 remaining, and 14.4 for these 2 elite CrossFit athletes. 1 more now for Josh Bridges, 1 more for Scott Panchik. And now it's on to the muscle-ups. 20 muscle-ups for both of these athletes, and then back to the rower if they have time.
Which, with 5 minutes left, you would think they will definitely have time.
Bridges is through 1. Bridges is going to string them together. There's 2. Panchik now on the rings. 3 for Bridges. That's 4 straight for Josh Bridges, struggling to lock that one out, so he will stop at 4, and now Panchik is off the rings as well. So it's Josh Bridges just a couple of reps ahead now of Scott Panchik. And Josh Bridges, even though he's not competing with Panchik, he's competing with his region. You know, after what happened last week in 14.3, he would love to get a victory here in front of the standing room only crowd at CrossFit Bellevue. The ring swinging quite a bit there for Scott Panchik. He's the taller of these 2 athletes, so he's going to have a little bit of an easier time getting there, but Bridges seems like he's doing a much better job coming off the rings and not having them flail everywhere.
This time between reps that you're seeing is really going to be what kills them. If they can decrease that just a little bit, they're going to have considerable more calories on that rower.
Bridges continuing to chip away. past the 9.5-minute mark. Panchik is back on the rings. Again, keep your eye on the judges in the black shirts. When they put their hands in the air, it means 5 reps to go. Bridges still with a slight lead though on Scott Panchik. And these two athletes are gassed right now as they go through the 20 ring muscle-ups. And look at those rings on the right, swinging around for Scott Panchik. He's taking rest time, so not a big deal, but if he was trying to get back up there, that's a problem.
It is, but watch Josh as he comes down. He's lowering himself, and that extra loading to lower yourself can be way more fatigue on the arms. So there's kind of benefits to both, especially if Scott can just grab them as they swing. He's going to be less fatigued from each muscle-up.
Bridges still able to get multiple reps in a row. Panchik, he's back on the rings, locking that out. He's sticking with singles. 10.5 gone by. 14-minute time cap here in 14.4. And we'll see if these athletes are able to get themselves back on the rower for another round of 14.4.
This is going to be all about digging deep and mental and your confidence and not letting go of those rings right now.
The crowd urging both of these athletes on through the final portion of their first rounds. And now, just 3 minutes to go. Bridges now in his final 4 reps, it looks like. And then he'll go back to the rower. So Josh Bridges was last off the rower. Panchik had a lead on the toes to bar. Bridges chipped away at it, finally took it on the cleans, and now Josh Bridges has a slight lead on Scott Panchik, who now has 4 reps to go. Bridges is through 18. The crowd coming alive here, urging the athletes on. 11.5 gone by. Bridges on his last muscle up, and he's going to get 2 in a row. Josh Bridges locking that out, and he's going back to the rower. Josh Bridges in the lead. He's through 1 round and wasting no time. Getting back on the concept 2. 60 calories. Every calorie counting is a rep here for Josh Bridges.
With 20 seconds, folks, don't worry about putting your feet in. Just pull. Get as many calories as you can.
Panchik is on his last rep. And Panchik is through 20 muscle-ups. And he'll move back to the rower. Bridges on the left, Panchik on the right. 2 minutes to go. If they can knock out 60 calories, it's back to the pull-up bar for 50 toes to bar.
I think that is slightly unlikely, but we'll see. They have shocked us before in their amazing performances.
Looking at Bridges' display, he's through 7, now 8 calories. So he's going to have to put on a pretty good push here to get to that 60. He was on the rower first, but Scott Panchik was a little faster the first time, so he may be able to close that gap here. Approaching the 13-minute mark, and we'll have 60 seconds to go in 14.4.
You know, after those muscle-ups, they're grateful to be using those legs, but it certainly isn't easy.
12 calories down for Scott Panchik. In front of him is Josh Bridges pulling for all he's worth. Inside a minute to go in 14.4, and both of these athletes have given it all they have. 27 calories for Josh Bridges, and it looks like he is going to edge out Scott Panchik, but Panchik could be gaining ground here. Bridges hanging on and really just wailing on that handle right there.
He had that great comment in his show where it was like, hey, if you go just a little faster, it's not going to hurt anymore.
It doesn't hurt that bad, but right now I'm guaranteeing you that Josh Bridges is in a world of hurt. Less than 20 to go. Josh Bridges, Scott Panchik, 14.4. 10 seconds to go. The crowd on its feet. Nobody sitting down here at CrossFit Bellevue, and they haven't sat down since they came in. 2 and 1, and Josh Bridges and Scott Panchik are through. 14.4. We'll have to wait for the official result to find out who won, but it was Josh Bridges who took the lead into the rower on the second round, and you do not see this often. Josh Bridges is exhausted.
At Chipper, it certainly was. You go in whole, you come out in pieces.
Panchik looking fatigued. Bridges looking fatigued. The battle in Seattle is history. We'll have more from CrossFit Bellevue and 14.4 when we come back.